Hey everyone! Just a quick catch up this week because I thought I would share with you the trauma I experienced last week. Yes, it's time to tell you about those airport connections I had on my recent work trip to Milan. Buckle up guys, it's a story. So I flew from Bristol Airport, which is really handy. It's only about 2 and 3/4 hours drive away from where I live. And if you're thinking, wow, that's a long way to drive to an airport, I live in Cornwall and we're near nothing. So yeah, I thought brilliant, Bristol isn't too far away and I'll fly from there. It's much easier than driving all the way up to London, which takes, 5 hours or something. So yeah, until I found out that Bristol does not fly directly to or from Milan. Great. So on the way there, I had to fly to Amsterdam. Now, I am somebody who enjoys travel. I was quite excited about landing in Amsterdam, even though I knew I wasn't going to have time to actually explore the city or anything like that. I just thought, another place to add to my list of places I've been, even if it doesn't technically count because I've only been to the airport, but the trouble is, I had about an hour and a half between landing in Schiphol Airport and leaving for Milan, and I thought, okay, bit tight, but it should be fine. Then my plane from Bristol was delayed by half an hour, so it was suddenly only 1 hour. And then I had to sort of sit on the plane for ages before they let us leave, and then it was 45 minutes. Now, I had read online that because I was flying from Amsterdam to Milan, and both the Netherlands and Italy are countries in the Schengen area, I don't know what that is either, and I should Google it, but I'm probably not gonna. I wouldn't need to go back through passport control or security because Schengen to Schengen, that's a weird thing to say, is fine. So I was thinking, okay, it's fine, it's only 45 minutes, but I'm gonna be absolutely great, it's fine. I'll leave the plane, I will go back into the area where all the departure boards are. All I have to do is see which gate my flight is going from, and everything will be groovy. Yes, I turned into Austin Powers. Anyway, that's not what happened. What happened is I got off the plane and found myself in this massive airport concourse with boards up and no reference to my flight to Milan anywhere. So I started to panic a smidge because, 45 minutes was drastically becoming 35 minutes. So I found a random person who was wearing what looked like an airport uniform and wandered over, when I say wandered, I mean rushed quite madly, and said, "Hi, do you happen to know which gate the flight to Milan at insert time here is leaving from?" And this guy was like, "Oh, I'm a cleaner. No, I haven't got a clue. You need to speak to somebody from either security or a check-in desk." Look, I saw a uniform, I asked the question. And he was very nice, and cleaners are important. So anyway, I looked at another departure board, still couldn't see any mention of my flight to Milan. By this point, I had about half an hour left, and I was starting to think, oh my god! So I found a security lady eventually. Schiphol Airport, lovely, seems to have a great array of restaurants, which I would have loved to have gone to were I not, just running past them, practically on the verge of panicked tears, going, "Ah!" Anyway, I found this security lady and I was like, "Hi, I don't know where I'm supposed to be going. I've got a connecting flight to Milan in like half an hour. I can't find it on the departure boards. What do I need to do?" And she was like, "Oh, where have you flown from?" And I was like, "The UK." And she went, "Oh, please go through here to security." And I was like, "What?" And she was like, "Yeah, you need to go through passport control." And I was like, "What?" Anyway, I've never done a connecting flight. There may be people watching this who are like, of course you have to go back through passport control. Doesn't matter what you read online about Schengen to Schengen, however interesting that is to say. So I wander in, and of course, a few years ago, the people of Britain decided it would be an excellent idea if we threw ourselves off an enormous cliff. Yes, I'm talking about Brexit. Because you see, the EU passport queue was delightful. It was short. It was moving really fast. And then there was the non-EU queue, which I had to use because Britain. Good thinking, guys! That was like practically coming out of the room, it was so long. And I looked at this security man who was monitoring the queue and I was just like, Brexit! I literally was like, Brexit. And he was like, oh yes, Brexit. Sorry, if you're from the UK, that's your queue. And I went and joined it and I was like, I'm sorry that we made a stupid decision. I didn't vote for it, but you know, I'm sorry people did. I don't know why I felt the need to apologise, but I did. Anyway, I'd been in this queue for like a minute when I realised I've now got about 25 minutes to get to my plane. I don't know where my gate is. This is ridiculous. I need to speed things up. So I waved frantically at this security guy and he came popping back over. He was very nice, bless him. And I was like, hi, I have less than half an hour to get a connecting flight. And he was like, say no more. It was amazing. He ushered me to the very front of the passport queue, was like, sorry everyone behind, this lady needs to hurry. And they looked at my passport, but the guy who looked at my passport was like, how long have you got? I looked at my watch, I was like, about 22 minutes now. And he was like, ooh, good luck. It's always great when you are up against it and someone wishes you luck with that sort of voice of, you'll need it. Anyway, I went toddling off with my bags and thought, well, at least I don't have to go through baggage claim or anything like that. And now I could just go find my gate. But no, the other thing that I read online about Schengen to Schengen, I just like saying it, meaning you don't have to go through security, was also wrong. Because the very next thing that happened was I was in a massive security queue. And of course I got stopped by security. Of course! Despite the fact that I had done everything I was supposed to do. They took all of my toiletries out, looked at every bottle like I might be planning some kind of chemical reaction on the plane. And then to make matters worse, I was waiting for them to finish going through everything and they just started having a chat to each other, these two security guys, whilst they were like, you know, I thought they were going to start juggling with my toiletries at one point. They were just having such a jolly time. And I was thinking, yeah, we're down to less than 15 minutes now. I need to go. By the time they had finished, I had to obviously repack everything. And then, and only then, did I finally find a board that told me where my gate was. And it was at the other end of the airport. Now, for those who aren't subscribers to this channel, I'm very severely asthmatic. I can't run, it's one of my big triggers. I ran so damn fast. I arrived at the gate as they were starting to, you know, get everyone boarded, and I looked like I'd crawled out of a swamp. There was sweat pouring down me. I was very close to having a massive asthma attack. I was there like, here's my boarding pass. It was a really lovely moment in my life. But once I was on the plane, I could relax and think to myself, it's fine, because I'm gonna get to where I need to go. And on the way back, hopefully, I will be more prepared for what might happen. Then I remembered that my flight back was via Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport, an airport that many people have said to me, don't want to lay over there, mate, that is a complicated airport to navigate. Now you see, whereas I should have had an hour and a half to navigate getting off the plane from Bristol and getting to the plane to Milan at Schiphol Airport, I did not have an hour and a half at Charles de Gaulle. I had an hour.
Oh no!
But it was fine, I told myself. You've done this once. You know what's expected now. Everything will be absolutely fine. Until, for some reason, when we landed at Charles de Gaulle, about 10 minutes late, they decided, okay, we're going to just keep everyone on the plane for about 15 minutes or so. You know, why let them off? Just enjoy the aircraft. Really soak up that EasyJet vibe. So of course, by the time I did get off the aircraft, I had about half an hour. What the lovely crew I worked with in Milan had done was try to organise me special assistance at the airport because of, again, I have the lungs of a chain-smoking 90-year-old. And so they tried to get me special assistance so that somebody would meet me at the plane and drive me in a buggy through the airport to my next plane so that I wasn't going to have any kind of moment. That didn't happen! So I made my way into this massive departure lounge with departure boards, and I immediately saw what appeared to be my gate. I say appeared to be because I should point out that I flew back late at night. It wasn't super late. I think my flight was scheduled to leave Paris at 10:30 and it would have been about 10-ish, maybe 5 to 10 at this point. But I was tired. I had been up since about 6:30, 20 to 7 that morning. I'd worked all day. I was a little bit stressed. So I probably didn't take in the information on the departure board super well. All I saw was 22:30 Bristol EasyJet 3. And I was like, gate 3. I need to head for gate 3. Could I find any signs for gate 3? Did anything look like it might be saying gate 3? No. However, there were overhead signs that had like different bits of terminal information. Now, my flight was from 2B. And the terminal signs that were above were like 2B, 2C, 2D, and I was in Terminal 2B, so I was like, okay, well, I'm where I need to be. One of the things said 3. Now, I realise, as I say this, of course it meant Terminal 3, but I was like, oh, Gate 3 is this way. I was very tired. So I started legging it towards where these signs said 3, and it wasn't until I reached a train station that I was like, that's Terminal 3. I've now got 20 minutes and I've run quite a long way in completely the wrong direction. I did have a little moment where I wanted to curl into a ball and cry. And if it's coming across, particularly if you're someone who's never watched this channel before, like I am a very highly strung, massively anxious human, hello, welcome, you're not wrong. So I started running back the way I'd came, and after I'd run back quite a way in the other direction, I suddenly saw this big sign, gates, this way. And I saw a departure board, and that's when I realised what I had read was 22:30 Bristol EasyJet check-in desk 3, gate B31. It's all on me. I completely acknowledge that a normal human would have found this perfectly easy. I mean, it still would have been tight, but you know, the panic was unnecessary. I own it. I started heading in that direction, very aware of how short an amount of time I had, and also very aware of the fact that France is a Schengen area country and the UK is not. So I was pretty confident I was going to have to go through passport control at least. Sure enough, when I arrived at this big sign that said gates B22 to B32, I was greeted by a security guy who was like, passport control this way. Yay! Now, passport control this time I got through really fast, and then we were back at security. They stopped me.
No.
They made me take out everything this time. It wasn't just toiletries. My laptop had to be analysed. My hard drives came out. My phone, for some reason, had to be looked at. Everything. To the point where I literally wanted to sob because I had to repack my bag. They were this close to taking all of my clothes out before I literally went, I have a flight in about 12 minutes. Once I was finally through that security and I was legging it, I finally found gate B31, which had a great big sign that said, flight to Gatwick, boarding closed. This was the point at which, if sad music could have just begun to play and the entire world had slowly become black and white, it would have felt deeply, deeply appropriate. Because I had had this run through the airport. I'd gone the wrong way, of my own accord, obviously, but still, I'd used up a lot of time doing that. Then I'd been stopped by security, and now here I was at the gate, and it appeared to be the wrong gate. And by this point, I had about 10 minutes. I did The only thing I could think of doing, which was run into said gate, to the desk, to this poor, frazzled member of staff who was looking at me like, what is approaching me? Because once again, sweat, makeup just smeared down my face. I was a real vision. And I just went, Bristol! Bristol! Because, you know, that's where I needed to go. And I was panicking. And bless her, she was the nicest lady, and she just went, oh, this is the gate for Bristol. Your plane hasn't even arrived yet. Don't worry, you're delayed. So we've taken the flight for Gatwick from this gate, and in about 10-15 minutes when your plane arrives, we'll change the signage and you can start boarding. Thank goodness, because had she said, oh yes, your gate has changed and it's all the way down there, I don't know that I would have made it. She told me to breathe, which I needed to be told, and I breathed. I breathed for about 20 minutes until they finally were ready to let us board our plane back home to Bristol. And what was really hilarious was when I went and showed my passport and my boarding pass, they looked on their system and they were like, oh, special assistance, would you like a wheelchair onto the plane? And I was like, no, I wanted a buggy. So I didn't almost die. But I'm fine now. So yeah, that's the story of my connecting flights. I would definitely do a connecting flight again if they were like 2.5-3 hours apart, because then there wouldn't be the panic. I had self-transfer, which means I had multiple booking references. I didn't just have one ticket to carry me on all of my journeys on all the plane rides I went on. Had I had one, I think it probably would have been a bit simpler, but self-transfer is a slightly different story. You do have to go back through passport control. You do have to go back through security because, you know, quite rightly, they take it as being, well, your ticket just says from this airport to that airport. How do I know you've been through security somewhere else? I think I aged about 12 years. The airport connections were a time. I still have the travel bug. I really like going to places, exploring new countries. Despite what happened at the airports, I still really like flying. I still enjoy airports. I know that's a bit weird. Maybe I'm an anorak. Who knows? But I do like travel. So feel free to leave any travel tips in the comments. Please feel free to tell me where I should go in the event that I ever have any money and can actually go traveling. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. You can click on my floaty head up there if you'd like to subscribe, and to have a look at some of what I got up to in Milan, you can click over there. I will talk to you all next week. Take care everybody, be chill in airports. Bye!